but we're very glad to have some expert voices to kick off this conversation. So first up, let's welcome Trevor to the stage.
Well, hello everybody. The first impression is he doesn't look anything like the photo we were just looking at. So we'll get that one out of the way first. This was a remnant of the World Cup. I have a Brazilian wife, and she came home and said, "We're dyeing your hair." And I looked at her eyes and I said, "I guess we're dyeing my hair." My name's Trevor. I'm the Executive Director of Blockchain New Zealand, and I also run an AI company called Avatars Global. We build the agentic stuff. So I must admit, this is about as far reach from my normal world as it gets, and I was really, really intrigued when HortNZ reached out and asked me to come and present to you today. And I thought, why not? It's a great opportunity. I'm very aware of some of the things that are coming your way and are already disrupting this sector internationally, and I had a great opportunity to come here and share that. But just so that we're clear, I just managed to kill a 30-year-old bonsai tree. So my thumb is definitely not green, and I could probably learn a hell of a lot from the people in this room. Hopefully you get some value from me today, but I'm always looking forward to advice and tips on how to not continue to kill my beautiful bonsais. Every time somebody gets up on stage and says they're going to talk about tech, everybody goes, "Oh, here we go." And it very quickly slides off the ledge and ends up coming out like some weird foreign language that nobody can understand, and people walk out of the room going, "I have no idea what that guy just said." So I want to go right back to the beginning, and just so that I get a sense or a temperature check, how many people in the room how many people are using AI on a daily basis in their world, whether it's machines or your ChatGPT, dinner recipes? Okay, great. Hands up if you know what an AI agent is. Is that a foreign word to you? Oh, good. Quite a good one of people. Okay, now the weird one. Blockchain. Anybody know what blockchain is? Anybody own Bitcoin? Down to the last guy in the room. Okay, we got there. Okay, so I want to help try and frame how all of these emerging technologies are starting to dovetail together, and why blockchain is so important to the technology conversation. So for those of you who already understand blockchain, just be a little bit patient while I give the others a quick little update on what blockchain is and how it's relevant to this conversation. I want you to think about blockchain as just digital infrastructure. It's just the new sort of roads and highways of how we pass data around. And the reason blockchain is so important and why it's gathering so much momentum is it's the most secure way to do that. I'm not going to go too deep into my fellow speaker's territory who's all about cybersecurity, but blockchain is heavily encrypted and it's almost impossible to change. Once something is printed, I guess is maybe a way to describe it, onto the blockchain, it can't be undone. So it's a source of verifiable truth. And that immutability is what makes it so important. If you think about how much AI is starting to influence our data streams and our information streams, it's at the point now where it's doing that autonomously. And there are a lot of conversations around how do we police AI, how do we control it, how do we stop fake news, and how do we stop the dilution of truth, and how do we know what to believe? And blockchain is a solution to that problem. By making it verifiable and immutable, we can understand and verify the source of that data or that information. And since AI agents can do this autonomously, and they've now entered the payment or the transaction, it becomes really important that we understand and verify all sources along that data chain. And that is why blockchain exists. So just think of it as secure infrastructure. Yes, crypto is exciting and fun and goes up and down and all over the place, but crypto is just a use case of the technology. The other use cases that are moving quickly into the mainstream are supply chain, passports that you guys are starting to work with, and digital identity. I'm going to talk about a few of those things in a little bit more detail. So if we, do I have a clicker? So we're moving into the world of agentic AI. And for most of us, that means that we can now buy our favourite coffee or a t-shirt using ChatGPT. Has anyone done that yet? It is a thing, by the way. There's about 5 billion in transactions a day that don't require a human. That's just machines talking to other machines. So an agent is able to take actions, and that's the key difference. It's not just looking and reporting and educating, it's actually acting on your behalf. So some of these examples, OpenAI and Stripe have got instant checkout inside of ChatGPT. Walmart have plugged in a shopping assistant that allows your agent to talk to their agent and shop on your behalf based on the rules that you've given your agent. And a little bit closer to home, I was reading about, and some of this stuff is brand new to me, so acknowledging that, John Deere's See & Spray, for those of you who may be familiar with this, ran more than 5 million acres in 2025 with cameras running on AI, and I noticed some of the products outside also running similar types of technology where they're using AI to identify weeds or AI to identify methods that are reducing cost and reducing long-term challenges. So supermarket procurement agents, importer compliance agent, freight booking agents, software is becoming the buyer, a payer, and a decision maker. So your tractor already makes 10,000 decisions an hour. The change isn't machines making decisions, it's machines making purchasing decisions, and that's the key differentiator for, or why AI agents are so important. And the other underlying factor that I think is really important, and the reason for blockchain, is because machines can't run on promises. So New Zealand's always sold on reputation and relationships, and that's not going anywhere. But an AI agent doesn't know is not susceptible to your charm and your good looks. It can only interact with something that it can validate as a data point. And so it reads structured data, signatures, certificates, things that it can check, which it checks in milliseconds. If the spray diary is a notebook in the ute and the certification is a PDF scan, then an agent can't read that. And it's not just unverifiable, it's now invisible. So this is not just a case of using technology to verify something, it's becoming, as the introduction said, more or less essential in order for you to be seen. So I deal a lot with retailers, and we talk a lot about making sure that their catalogue is available to be searched by agents. It's a bit like, for those of you who remember the early days of Google, where there was always a race to get onto page 1. That's become less of a race now because the agentic boom is slowing the need down for Google-related human-driven decision-making. And so the new indexing is making sure that your information, your data, and your money is verifiable and actionable on-chain. The impact of this is also being seen far and wide. I was reading a little story online about counterfeit Zespri branded kiwi fruit. Anyone part of Zespri here? Yeah, so there's counterfeit Zespri. Done a great job of branding what is arguably the world's best kiwi fruit product. So good that other nations are copying the sticker, copying the data, and counterfeiting it. Apparently, food fraud costs about $40 to $50 billion US a year. This is a problem that can be solved by using emerging technology. So for 30 years, we've sold on a handshake and a story. The handshake still matters, but the next buyer reads signatures, not body language. So So it also becomes about brand, and the Zespri story is really pertinent here. This is where I start to move out of the why it's important and into the benefits of early adoption and considering this type of approach. So we already have a premium playbook. We've got Zespri, wine, Manuka honey, a lot of brands that we could probably all talk about in the break that have built global reputations and command a premium in global markets. Today's premium gets negotiated between humans. Tomorrow it will be done via agents. So that brand premium, that verification, that authenticity needs to be read by machines. So we have to take the hard work we've done and cement it. And the upside of it is enormous. We are a small nation, we can move very quickly, and we have built a global reputation for New Zealand grown, residue tested, carbon measured. All of the claims that we make here are now able to be tracked from source to table. And the need for human involvement in that chain is rapidly approaching zero. Being in an agent's consideration set is the new supermarket shelf. Global brands attract a premium, we've proven that. What's about to scale is the checking of that, the verification of that, every claim checked on every order, which is a huge opportunity for New Zealand. So for an agent, they need three things. How come these aren't clicking? I haven't been paying attention. An agent needs three things in order to act. It needs a verified identity, it needs money, and it needs rules. So I'd like to talk about these three things in a little bit more detail, but strip away the hype, and blockchain is just three utilities. It's provable identity, programmable money, and self-enforcing rules. Let's dive into digital identity. To me, this is the baseline of all of the things that I'm talking about today. Everything starts with your digital identity, your brand's digital identity, and your product's digital identities. All of these will be verifiable using blockchain technology so that all the way through the supply chain, through the value chain, it can be checked and validated, and no one can tamper with that, and that is very important. It's cryptographically signed, time-stamped, and impossible to alter. We've got a few New Zealand companies that are already moving in this space. Oratane are doing global, born in Dunedin, now global, doing forensic chemical fingerprinting, which is using blockchain technology. Some very good friends of mine running the Topfer network. They are building a network where verified environmental action, planting, catchment restoration, biodiversity outcomes are validated and proven on chain. And they're also disrupting the charitable donation space with their same technology stack, where you'll be able to follow a donation from source to recipient transparently, immutably, on chain. Wouldn't that be nice? There was a panel I was watching earlier involving some of our wonderful members of parliament, and it got me thinking, wouldn't it be nice if the New Zealand budget was on blockchain and it was verifiable, transparent, and available to be seen by every person in the room? So we have the foundations for domestic rails. There are products and people building technology and solutions that will be available to you for you to take advantage of this. I think there is an enormous benefit to who grew it. New Zealand growers, New Zealand primary industries should be able to charge a premium in the global market. And it's not just New Zealand. It can come right down to the farm and the crop. And that can be tracked from source to table, immutably, autonomously, by machines. Okay, so digital identity, very important. There is another element of digital identity, which is product passports, which kind of touches on that, and we'll get into that in a second. Programmable money. Everybody know what stablecoins are? We only had a few people who knew what Bitcoin was, so we'll get into the stablecoin. I think a stablecoin is like a digital dollar. How they work is for every token, digital dollar, that's issued, there is a physical dollar held in trust in a bank account somewhere, so that that token can move around these digital networks very easily, and anytime somebody wants to extract that out of the system, there is a dollar waiting to back that dollar. So a lot of people worry about crypto because it's volatile and it goes up and down all over the place, and it's, I sell it for $10, but by the time I receive it, it's only $9. Stablecoin solves that problem. With stablecoins, it's dollar for dollar. It's just like using fiat currency, except it transfers in seconds, not days. It doesn't cost anywhere from 6 to 10% to move that money. It costs cents to move that money. And it can be done by machines. Doesn't require a human to do that. At my company, I have people all over the world working for me. And about half of them, we pay them in stablecoin every month. Because they live in economies where the fluctuation of their local currency impacts the amount they get paid. They prefer to get paid in stablecoin because it's instant and they don't pay as many fees. Stablecoin issuance is into the trillions already. The largest stablecoin issuer is a company called Tether. Those who are familiar with this concept might have heard of USDT. And USDT market capital today is about 186 billion. They are the 8th largest owner of US foreign debt. They own more foreign debt than Germany. Stablecoins have scaled very quickly. These are companies that didn't exist 10 years ago. They are now transacting Stripe. For those of you who are familiar with e-commerce and Stripe payment networks, Stripe have gone all in on stablecoin and blockchain technology and have moved $3.4 trillion a year in payments and settlements onto the blockchain because it's 90% cheaper. FX goes away, transaction fees go away, T+3 goes away. Stablecoins are preferred by most people because they're instant and it can be done autonomously using smart contracts. I won't get into too much of the nitty-gritty, but I challenge you all or encourage you all to find out a little more about, if there's only one thing that you take from me today, it's stablecoins matter. You need to know about these things and start learning how to use them. It'll save you money today. In New Zealand, we have 4 stablecoin issuers. A year ago, we had 0. A year ago, New Zealand wasn't in the global financial system on digital rails. We now have a currency on the new financial system, and it's still unlicensed. So we have a long way to go to get to catch up with where the rest of the world is. The US have done a brilliant job of securing the world or global denomination or currency, where over 90% of all stablecoin transactions happen on USD. My particular mission is to make sure that New Zealand has a currency in this conversation, because I don't want to have to buy my groceries in US dollars. I don't want to have to deal with my friends and family and the businesses that I support in US dollars. New Zealand dollars matter to me, and they probably matter to everybody here as well. So please, I encourage you to investigate stablecoins. They are happening very, very quickly and will change your business overnight. Smart contracts, and I'm running out of time. Smart contracts are simply when 2 conditions are met, something happens. Doesn't require any humans, doesn't require anything other than agents, and this is how agents are moving data and money around on blockchain rails. One issuer sets one rule, the other issuer sets the other rule, the sender and the receiver, whatever it might be. When those 2 conditions are met, value transfers. That's it. That's all that you need to know about smart contracts. They take away the need for humans to validate that. You no longer need your bank to sign off on something. If 2 conditions are met and they're trustworthy sources because they're verifiable on blockchain and they meet the rules that have been set, the transaction just happens. I'm sure every grower here has waited on a payment while somebody processed it, right? A smart contract resolves that immediately. Okay, getting into some of the more nitty-gritty here. Verified provenance and product passports. I've already touched on product passports a little bit, but they are coming onto blockchain and they open up an enormous amount of possibility for Kiwi growers. Is anyone here using product passports or investigated them yet? Any idea what I'm talking about? So product passports are a provenance vehicle for your harvest to validate where it was grown, how it was harvested, the conditions that it was grown under, whether it was carbon-free or whatever the claims are that you make to sell your products are verified in a passport that digitally accompanies that product through the supply chain and can be validated and verified by anyone on that value chain. Which means that I believe that a kiwi fruit farmer in New Zealand that's utilising the best practices in the world should be able to validate that to the buyer that's looking for that product and should be able to receive a premium for that process. All of this can be now validated using blockchain technology, and it's happening internationally already. In the US, there is a food traceability rule, requires 24-hour traceback records for fresh produce. In Europe, digital product passports have been already passed and will be rolled out from this year through to 2028. So the passport itself isn't the point, it's verifying the claims that the passport states that's important. Okay. Actually, I'm going to skip this slide, sorry. I'm running a little bit behind. And this is the exciting bit. I live in this world. Tokenization of real-world assets. This is where everything changes for all of us. We've gone through NFTs and we went through meme coins and we've gone through all of these weird and wonderful use cases of blockchain technology. The tokenization of real-world assets is the one that I believe will settle and change the way capital moves around the world forever. And because I'm out of time, I'll have to probably leave this deeper dive for another day. But think of it like this. You're tokenizing the yield. You get your money up front, not at the end. And you're taking a community along the journey with you. This is already happening around the world. If you own an aquarium and there is coral in that aquarium, it probably came from a single supplier in Australia that supplies about 95% of the world's aquarium coral. That grower is tokenizing their yields and allowing anyone to purchase a share ahead of time in that yield, so they are able to realise capital immediately and settle at the end. In South America, a grower can walk into a Toyota dealership and buy a new ute on soybeans because the bank recognises the token of that harvest and its monetary value. Think about the impact of this. This is going to change the way everything is done, and it's already happening. Sugarcane in South America already being tokenised. In fact, New Zealand has its first tokenised real-world asset. A friend of mine has tokenised property development. So typically a property developer makes about 20% or more on any development project. My friends at Propopoly have tokenised that 20% yield. So they've tokenised the build, and anyone can become a property developer now in New Zealand for $500. And those turnarounds are 12 to 18 months. So you can put money into a tokenised property development and get your return probably within 12 to 18 months, and that return should be north of 20%. Think about that. Just let that sink in for a second. You can go out now, right now, you can open your phone and go to propopoly.co.nz and become a property developer for $500, give yourself exposure to the property development market and return a yield within 12 to 18 months. Now think about how that applies to your industry. I can now buy a share in a kiwi fruit harvest, and I can support the growers in my community and benefit from that yield. This changes everything, and it's already happening. So all of the things I said before lead to this. So I wish I had more time to get into it, but I encourage you to start thinking about a couple of things. How do I trace a single claim that I make from source to delivery? Just start really, really simple. Find out about stablecoins. How do I use stablecoin in my transaction stream? It settles instantly and costs me 90% less in fees. And learn about product passports, because they're coming and they'll be on blockchain, and it is a good thing for New Zealand. Thank you very much. My name's Trevor. I'm stick around for a while if you want to chat me. I think we're having a Q&A session as well if we have time. And apologies, mate, I ran a little bit over. Thanks, guys.